All right, last but not least, we're going to also focus on dispoing the patient. So we've seen the patient, we've written our evaluations, we've done our history, we've done our physical exam, we've put in orders for this patient. Now we need to admit them. So we're going to go to final diagnosis and say we're actually going to discharge the patient first. So we type in our final diagnosis, we'll call this abdominal pain, unspecified abdominal pain, what have you. We click enter, and that becomes our primary diagnosis. There's also space for additional diagnoses as well that you can type in. Maybe they had hypokalemia or what have you. You can type those things in here, and that's your final diagnosis. Then we're going to go to DCI. This is our discharge paperwork, our discharge instructions. So this is the patient education. So if you want to give them something for abdominal pain, they want to give the patient any other additional orders, we click on it, and then we go to the add button, which right here. We click add, and now that paperwork is given to the patient. Here, special instructions. This is a place where you can write down things for the patient, right? You came to the ER with abdominal pain, we evaluated you, your labs are attached after you did that. Enter to the chart like we showed on the results section. We want you to follow up with your primary care doctor, what have you. This is where you can put some personalized instructions in for the patient as well. And you can just kind of type this up for the University of Maryland residents. A lot of times you do this pretty naturally in Epic and the other systems that we've been using. So this is pretty common nature here, but that's a good place to free text. Next, we can give follow-up. So we can give it to the primary care doctor, so follow up with the primary care doctor 1 to 2 days. Here we can actually write follow-up. So say you want them to follow up in the Dimensions clinic, you can include that, and just like with the other paperwork, we click on the name and add it. If you want them to follow up with the urologist, you could type the urologist name, add it, what have you. You can do that there, and when to follow up. And then here's the printing information there at the bottom, which printer you want to send it to. Exit Writer is the main printer, Fast Track is the Fast Track printer, and then we click enter. And now that will print out discharge and instructions for the patient, which you can give to the nurse at the time of discharge. Now we've put in our final diagnosis. We put in our discharge paperwork. Now we need to do the final disposition. That's under Dispo. We click that and we move along. So here we're going to say what's our Dispo type. We're going to be discharging the patient. They're going to be hopefully stable at the time of discharge. And then the disposition is home. Behavioral health would be for our psych patients. And you would click that in. Our final diagnosis is already added, and we can add the enter disposition here, enter dispo. And that will save our information for the patient. And now you see this area is green up at the top. And so our disposition has been added. We also click med reconciliation here. This patient doesn't have any meds recorded, but if they did, look through their reconciliation, and we add on a med rec for the patient. And so now all of that is done. Now, what if we wanted to admit this patient? So we can add our final diagnosis. Here it's already added because we had it from before. Now we're going to go to admission request. So we click admission request. And this was already filled in before. This would normally be blank, but we put in the inpatient, where they're going to go. Are they going to med-surg tele, med-surg, where they're going to go in the emergency, in the hospital, PCRU. So they're going to go to med-surg. So we click that. And then we have our final diagnosis, what have you. We can put our admitting physician here. And again, this is all under admission request. So we'll find the attending that is going to be the person that's admitting this patient. If you talk to one of the resident services, they can tell you who that is. And then we click enter dispo. And that will take us back. Click continue. This is going to take us to that same disposition box that we were in before, but now instead of discharge home, the patient's going to be an inpatient med-surg, and we enter dispo. One last thing you need to do is this actions button. We go down to view. Then the print chart, we go here, go to admission request, and then print to whatever time it is. So registration, depending on what time you're here in the ER, it'll be either this button or the next button, and click print. And then now that's sent the admission request to registration as well. Now if we click back to the chart here, we can see our patient. They have an inpatient medicine bed right now. They've got that green bar there, so our dispo has been added. and we can see all of that is done. Our little pill here is the normal color versus here, there's no med reconciliation done. Here we can see our reconciliation is done. And so we can see that, and now that we've admitted the patient, we can see the admitting physician here. So everything is done as far as the disposition.